¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
Good afternoon. Welcome to CHIRLA TV as we start season 9. My name is Pedro Trujillo and I'm joined by Vlad.
Such an honor and pleasure to be here, especially because it's the 40th anniversary of CHIRLA. Not only the 9th season of CHIRLA TV, but the 40th year of CHIRLA doing its amazing work. And it's a pleasure to be here and get to do this work with you, Pedro.
That's right, and we get lovely guests all the time, and today is no different. This February 24th marks the 4th year of Russia's full-scale invasion of the Ukraine, the largest armed conflict since World War II. To help us understand how this began and how it affects communities today, and what support is available for Ukrainian newcomers here in the United States, we are joined by Valeria Rizova, who is a Ukrainian caseworker with CHIRLA's humanitarian department. Valeria, thank you for being here.
And thank you so much for creating the space for this story, the story about Ukrainian people and our resilient fight for the freedom. And I'm here with two perspectives. First, as a Ukrainian caseworker, and also as being a Ukrainian immigrant myself, who lived all of the challenges alongside my community here in the United States.
Wow, incredible story. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What inspired you to kind of take up this work?
Of course. My work began in 2022 when a lot of Ukrainian newcomers started to flee the war and come to the United States. There's so much support was needed to assist those newcomers. And while I was an immigrant and newcomer myself, I was supporting Ukrainians, kind of learning and doing at the same time. Wow. And I firstly joined a non-profit organization as a volunteer, and I assisted Ukrainians with translations, with connecting to the resources needed. And I realized that I really like doing this work, and I wanted to turn it to more professional career. And now I'm here. Wow. I really like to pursue this mission forward, now being a CHIRLA Ukrainian caseworker.
Qué historia tan inspirante, ¿verdad? No solamente recién llegada, pero inmediatamente poniéndose a trabajar para mejorar a su comunidad. Right. Una historia verdaderamente inmigrante.
And then what better place to learn Spanish than here in the West Coast, you know, in California, especially for us that we're based in Los Angeles.
Definitely.
But Valeria, if you can just, so that the viewers get a little bit sense of your experience when you first came to the United States, what were some things that stood out to you that, you know, we talk about culture shock in this show, we've talked about it in the past.
So much.
What were some things that were probably, I don't know, maybe the easiest to get you know, doing, and what was the hardest things for you to kind of become not assimilated, but really integrated into this community?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that cultural orientation, for sure, it was the main part that needed to be learned, but also navigating the complexity of US systems. There are so much differences with our culture, with our country, so it was time needed to learn it myself, and as I mentioned, while learning, I always was sharing with my community, and it was one of the major things. Additionally, I would love to mention that people was experiencing a lot of trauma of being displaced from their places and here starting over. So I had to do some trainings about how to support those trauma-affected communities.
Yeah, and thanks for grounding it, right? Because it is a human being. So can you tell us a little bit about the conflict and the lived experience of the people? And you said it started before 2022.
Yes, of course. I would love to start to give some context about how everything started, because not many people know about that it started even before the full-scale invasion in 2022. And the major turning point came in 2014. At this moment, a lot of Ukrainians railed for democratic reforms, pursuing its dream of becoming leading European nations. But unfortunately, Russia has not accepted this fully, has not accepted Ukrainian independence fully. So Russia ignited the war first in the eastern part of Ukraine, of Donetsk and Luhansk cities, being very valuable regions. And also it turns out to be first signals of what would become, as we know, a full-scale invasion in 2022.
Wow. My goodness. So yeah, thank you so much for helping us ground that and really bringing it back to our communities, because yeah, at the end of the day, it's human beings getting impacted by this conflict. And I'm so glad we have Valeria here to help us outline not only her lived experience, but those of the cases that we're helping manage. We'll be right back after this.
¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
Saludos y bienvenidos de regreso, mi gente. We continue here with Valeria Ritsova, a Ukrainian case manager with CHIRLA, telling us about, the experience on the ground for the Ukrainian people. Mm-hmm. So really it started in 2014, but there was a major shift in 2022. How did it ramp up? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, of course. And for many Ukrainians, it was a very dark moment and I would say dark morning, because Russia started the full-scale invasion in 2022, in February 24. Somewhere at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning, Ukrainians woke up literally to hear the sirens and explosions and chaos. Mm-hmm. And they were so much scared of what was going on, because nobody expected it would came from different regions. Mm. So missiles, they came literally from different regions. And Ukrainians in this shock and chaos, they would run into shelters, basements, well, to hide, to protect their families, their loved ones. So literally for many, they just grabbed their small belongings, their loved ones, a pet, and they ran first into shelters, bomb shelters, and then later into evacuation trains heading west.
Yeah. It's such a, horrific scenes that, we were seeing some of those here in the U.S. as they were covering, the media was covering some of those, that armed conflict, right? And one of the things that we share in the show, discuss with other guests who've come from different parts of the world, is if things were different in our home countries, we wouldn't need to move, right? But one of those being conflict as a push factor and war. And so what was the next move for people as they were trying to get to the United States? Was it just that they came directly to the US, mm-hmm. they had to go through a border? If you could explain to us that aspect of migration.
Yes. As you said, that a lot of refugees started to flee to different countries. US was one of the countries who opened its borders, and first, without any official programs, people started to came to the Mexican borders, cities like Tijuana, bordering the United States, and there, in the very edge of US and Mexico, something very extraordinary happened. Our heroes, volunteers from both countries, Mexico and America, they came and they just started to help people. They organized shelters, they organized lists, they navigated, translating cooking meals and all this stuff. And I would say as Ukrainian, we will be all the time we will be very grateful for all these incredible efforts of community who helped organize everything to help people to cross safety the borders. And it was just the beginning.
Do you have a sense of how many Ukrainians were there at the border at that time?
Yes, we have approximate number of 20,000. Wow. 20,000 Ukrainians, and this number they crossed in around less than 2 months. Wow. And after this, there was official program launched. It was called United for Ukraine, and under this program, it was a huge number of Ukrainians who entered. It was approximately 300,000 of Ukrainians who came under Ukrainian program known as United for Ukraine or U4U.
That's incredible. A binational, international effort to help them at the border, and now nearly 300,000 people safe here.
What would be like a primary benefit of an official program versus not having something like that? If you can, I don't know, anything that comes to mind for you as to why it mattered, why U4U mattered for people.
I strongly believe it was a response of seeing the need, because people, as we mentioned, they didn't fled because they just wanted to do so. And I strongly believe that U4U program, it was a response of what was happening at this time in the borders. And it was a solution because it was much easier for folks to find organizations or sponsors who can support them to legally came into United States.
And before that, it was a major struggle to do so.
It was, for sure it was. Yeah, but as I said, what was happening before this program was even launched was very incredible, and Ukrainians will be always grateful for this incredible work of volunteers.
When it wants to, the U.S. can create some really good programs for immigrants that are, and refugees and asylees that really change lives, right, and really impact and meet the need. But stick around as we're going to then touch on resettlement agencies and learn a little bit more about it. We'll be right back.
¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
Welcome back to CHIRLA TV as we're discussing how Ukrainian immigrants made their way to get into the U.S. and how the U.S. responded by creating a program. Vlad.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to compare the numbers as we were discussing before the United for Ukraine program and after, right? So can you tell us a little bit? I mean, based on those numbers, it doesn't seem like, it seemed like we needed a response. So how prepared was the U.S. for Ukrainian newcomers and those resettlement agencies that exist within the United States? How prepared were they to receive Ukrainians?
This is a great question. Because of a huge influx of refugees, there was so much support needed, and different agencies, resettlement agencies, non-profit organizations, churches, community-based organizations, they started to build the program from the ground up. There was no something that was available specifically for Ukrainians, but they started to build, they started to understand what is needed for community, and the program started to first cultural orientation, providing resources like employment assistance, housing assistance, and all needed help that people needed who came just first time in their first months in the U.S.
Yeah, which is so important because as immigrants, we don't get those official programs, and people have to figure out and start from scratch. Oftentimes, many people leaving behind lives that they had already made professions, right? And starting new here without getting recognition of your profession can be very challenging, not just mentally, but financially, of course. And so it's really wonderful to hear that programs like these were started to be created so that they can meet that need and integrate Ukrainians then. What would you say that were some of the challenges that you saw then with the resettlement agencies, or that resettlement agencies were seeing then, that maybe are still, that weren't being met immediately?
The main thing that was and remain now, it's legal support. There was a lot of shortage on this, and as folks needed a lot of navigation on how to reapply to their statuses, how to renew their work permits, and all this needed information, we still see a huge gap in this. and we are trying to address it. For example, at CHIRLA, we recently launched the ProSay specifically for Ukrainian newcomers. So they have this resource that they have can answer questions, get assistance with USCIS forms, and this is very, very incredible news.
Phenomenal, such essential work.
And we have, and then your efforts as staff, right? Like, what were some things that you initially started in your project?
Interesting question. I have worked in a different organization, but mostly assisting this population. I would say that the most interesting part for me was looking into the need, like doing assessments. I really patient and really love to do a proper case management work so I can assist better. And I love to conduct the workshops around specifically now to help people know their rights, because it's a very hot topic right now for all immigrant communities. And luckily, with my humanitarian department and CHIRLA organization, we have so many resources. Just yesterday, we conducted workshops about know your rights at the workplace, and we have Ukrainian translation. So it was very good opportunity for people to learn about their rights.
Incredible. Learn more about the essential resources being provided by CHIRLA right after this.
¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
Bienvenidos de regreso. Aquí continuamos con Valeria Rizova. So Valeria, I know, right, the immigrant community at large is really feeling a lot of pressure right now, and it's getting attacked in many ways. Can you tell us how this is showing up for the Ukrainian community, how it relates to Ukrainian newcomers?
Yes, and Ukrainian newcomers, Ukrainian immigrants are not exemptions in this pressure to the immigrant community. Despite being maybe racially profiled, Ukrainians still experiences fear of deportations and detentions. And because of many Ukrainians, they still remain on humanitarian parolees, temporary protected statuses. They don't have some more permanent immigration statuses. That creates a lot of fear. Additionally, we see a lot of delays with USCIS processing paperwork. And for some community members, they fell out of status by no fault of their own. They filled out the application on time, and just because of the delays, they had a gap in employments, and this created the barriers to like many things, financial burdens, and of course fears.
Wow, my goodness. And then, so if there's any folks who are Ukrainian right now that first time hearing about CHIRLA TV, how can they get access to some of the resources that perhaps the organization is offering that you can help them out with?
At CHIRLA, we recently launched a program that called Ukrainian Newcomer Support Program. And this program tailored specifically for this population. As I mentioned before, we always try to find the best answer for the community needs. And we do have a lot of resource navigation, case management. We help people understand the systems, such complex, right? Like healthcare systems, housing, taxes. All of this, we are trying to help people understand, to make it more digestible in their languages. So we have so many resources, and we additionally conducting workshops for the topic that is specifically relevant for this community. And I encourage everyone who knows Ukrainians who needed support, please reach out to CHIRLA, and we would be happy to assist.
Are the workshops in person, virtual, hybrid? How is it that you do them?
We do both versions, so there are different topics that we cover. and the variety of programs exist.
Excellent. So there's different ways that people can connect and stay connected, receive the much needed information and resources. I would love to thank you so much, Sister Valeria, for all you do and for pouring out your heart here into this work. It's really important. So thank you so much. As well as thanking Vlad for helping us guide this conversation here today. We're really proud of being with you all for 9 seasons here as CHIRLA TV to bring you the latest information and news that really is of importance to the immigrant community of different countries, different ethnicities. So thank you. Please support us. We're on social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and other places. And of course, become CHIRLA member as well. Your donation goes really far and allow us to do this work and continue doing this work. We continue to fight for legalization for all and that these types of programs like the Ukrainian community receive, that they be open to others who have similar experiences. Thank you all and see you next time.
¿Quiénes somos?